3, 4. Do 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 do. Ba 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 ba. All right, we're rolling. Greetings from the wasteland out here in the survival pod. This is Freedom Phil, and what I want to talk about right now. Well, the subject is simple. I think a lot of the advancements in tech and a lot of the investment tech, a lot of it's just fucking the human centipede, but on economics. Like, what do you mean? Really look at some of the so-called AI things that you see out there. And how often does it look up an answer and just scrape over things and give you hopefully a good answer or somebody else's wrong answer? Does this really seem like it's vastly making your life so much better? Show me exactly for all the tech that you're doing, basically cleaning house, really, to some degree. Show me why the tech work goes up so much, the investments. Yeah, that's the subject here. This is Freedom Phil. Like, subscribe. Let's get into it. And hey, always turn up the video speed. And why do I say that? Because if you're watching my videos, you're watching at 1.75. That's why the channel is called Turn Up the Video Speed. It's literally instruction on what to do. And hey, let's get into it. Like, subscribe. So I'm sitting there listening to people talk about, well, see, the tech world, blah, 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 and AI and blah, blah, blah. You remember synergies? Just like you hear sometimes of some of these people talking about the term fiduciary, like they're now throwing around that word when it comes to investment groups. And it's like, because we're a fiduciary, fucking buzzwords. There's a lot of fundamentals people can look into for a company, like profits, loss, assets, all that crap. Some of that just gets thrown out. I would argue that there's a lot of things that blow up really big these days, and it has very, very little to do with what they're making. It has to do with hype, being popular. Oh, you can't really think that sometimes some company makes something that's just so groundbreaking that it does, blow up on its own. Or the product is so well loved, like they make a new car and people really like it. So, market number go up because of that. It's not like number go up because be popular. Sometimes the investments of a lot of companies I've noticed seem to go up right after they do mass layoffs. Translation, we've cut this much bloat. We didn't really need that many people. So now we have this much excess profits. So we're easily staying afloat. It's not complicated to understand, but there are cases where I'd argue that in economics these days, it becomes more and more evident. If you know how to spot the cycle, it starts making sense. Why are some of these companies growing so big? Why are certain investments in certain, whether it's the S&P or Dow Jones or whatever, why do they grow so big? Because it's basically a human centipede, but for economics. And let me give you, for all those, if you don't know what the human centipede is, go look up the South Park thing. But imagine it's a full Ouroboros, where basically it's the snake eating its own tail, but with economics. Imagine for a second, it's a human centipede of economics, except for every once in a while, new food gets added into the ecosystem, and that new food is money. Now, let me give you an example of where we've seen this before, and you should have already recognized this. Go back to crypto. Yeah, crypto is still worth something, don't get me wrong, but more and more people have gotten hip to what crypto generally is. It's basically a bunch of whales buying and selling their own investment to each other. And then people look at number go up. It's just like, I'll pay you a little more. And what they do is that the outsiders think, man, number go up, must be worth a lot, must be great, make great investment. So they go out and buy whatever coin. I don't care whether it's Bitcoin or some other coin. And basically the term pump and dump. So what happens is that these coins would basically go out there. The whales would have a large amount of money, the majority of the assets, and they would sell to each other over and over again. And they'd pump it up and get a bunch of new money from the outside into it. And then eventually, when the market was good, they'd sell some of it off. Oh, they'd dump some of it, and they'd crash it for a bit. But then they'd start pumping it again. And this isn't complicated to understand. That's part of the reason when it came to crypto, the fact that it wasn't regulated for a long time. People are like, look at the numbers, bro. And by the way, it's going to sound horrible to a lot of you. And by the way, thanks for whoever gave the like. Appreciate it. And if you want to be talking, you best be a subscriber. I don't mind people talking, but hey, if you're going to be here talking to me, expect me to read your comments, you best be somebody who's a subscriber. They're always saying, well, why for I have to be a subscriber? Why the hell do I need to read your comment if you're not? It's just like work. You wouldn't go to do that job if you weren't getting paid. But how do you expect me to read a comment if you're not a subscriber? I don't want the real people here. The crypto thing basically was unregulated for ages, and it practically is still kind of a wild west. Anybody can make a fucking coin. I mean, the Hawktua girl made a coin, right? And they're like, no, but crypto is real. But no, crypto is literally just a storage bank. And the more people that put money into it, the more your coin's worth. But the big players always understood if we just keep on selling this in a circle, a human centipede of economics, more morons will come along. And don't get me wrong. If you made a lot of money off of a bunch of useful idiots, which sounds horrible, right? But I'm just being honest. If you made money on that, more power to you. You know? But understand it's basically a scam. Now, where does this come back to? The stock market and tech companies. How many of these tech companies are owned by a few major players and they're all buying each other's stocks? They're basically doing the same scam that they did with people did with crypto, but they're doing it with tech companies. Yeah, but you see AI and synergies and whatever buzzword. Really look at the products. The product coming out of AI, right? So-called AI right now, and it's not AI, it's just a program. But this ain't Johnny Five talking to you. I'm alive. This is literally just a lot of these programs are scraping tools at this point. They're better than they used to be. So it's like better software than we used to have. This is not sentience. This is like sentience that is below the level of a cockroach. Okay? A cockroach is more intelligent than your so-called AI. It will eventually get to a rat. And then it will get to a cat or a dog. Let's say a dog first, then a cat. Because I swear to God, dogs are wonderful. They're loyal. But sometimes I look at them like cats are clearly more intelligent. And I like dogs better anyways. But eventually it'll get to a monkey. And you got to be worried when it starts getting too advanced. Because at that point, you're going to have to limit the shit. We're still below AI technology of a cockroach. Now, why am I saying that? Because buzzword make people buy into it, but number go up make people buy into it even more. And if you do the same pump and dump scheme that they did with crypto, then it's not hard to understand what you're seeing there. So, like, I see people out there and they're investing, and people are like, "Well, this person's such a genius." And by the way, smart enough to see a good scam is smarter than the average bear. So I will give credit. But no, it doesn't. You don't need to be a genius to repeat something that works. Most people are stupid, and most people will buy into something if they see number go up. If they think they're going to make more money, they'll buy into it. And if you're a big player in that, you basically own it and you buy somebody else's thing. And then by the way, this is the same thing I suggest when it comes to tradesmen. If one guy's a plumber, one guy's an electrician, one guy's an HVAC guy, and we got a concrete guy, and everybody's learning how to do a roof, y'all can pay almost nothing for building houses. You've cut out how much of the labor, and y'all know framing. You can have this Voltron come together of labor. Now, why don't you think people would do this in business, in the stock market, in investing? Well, they do. This company buys that company, this company buys that company's stock, and this company buys that stock, assets or whatnot, and they all pump it up. It's an economic human centipede. They're all eating each other's shit. You know the best part? Then a bunch of useful idiots come along. They also purchase these. Oh, number go up. Buy it, bro. Bro. Synergies. AI. Bro. Me so smart. No, you can just see number go up, but not understand the mechanics behind it. So what will happen is there'll be pump and dumps, just like with crypto. And that's actually what is kind of scary at times about a lot of the stock market these days. Unless you have a product these days that is so incredible that it's groundbreaking, like it really does, and or a car that's so good, how much of all of it's fake? But then we have to come back to the reality of your investment markets. Do you care if it's fake? The money spends the same. Take it from a man who did things the honest way back in the day. I worked, I saved my money, and when it came to doing my remodel in my house, it was a nightmare to find anybody to do anything. Because most of the gilded markets, like all the trades and plumbers and electricians and all that shit, they've got lots of fake money coming from out of state. Investor bro money. And that money spends exactly the same as my honest money. So Would you view it any different? Just like a welfare recipient, would you view, hey, the money spends the same whether you earned it, or it came from the government? So should you view it any different, like whether you work some nonsensical fucking job? You work some nonsensical job for a boss. Should you view the money you get from investing any different than that? And a lot of people just don't get that. Most people, they would take the money if they could get it. But they say, well, I'm an honest worker. No. You're just probably too stupid to understand that you should go out and, like, if the system's going to be rigged and someone's in favor, why not you? And the answer is most of you were raised to be workers, consumers. Good little working consumers. You weren't meant to be investors. The oxygen and the nutrients to teach you how to do that. The education was not taught to you. The minimalism that I talk about regularly, literally, that is your kryptonite. Minimalism? Oh my God, I'll never do that. And then when you make the same wage that I do, when we're both making $100K a year and I'm living off $5,000 a year, $5,000, I live off $5,000. Therefore, if we each paid $10,000 in taxes, we had $85,000 left. You pissed away all of that $85,000. Maybe you had a little bit left and you had some nice things. A guy like me could go out there and actually use this system. And that's part of the thing. When people talk about the ultra rich, well, they have extra money to invest. And you know why that is? Because they might have a nice lifestyle because now they're ultra rich. But at a certain point, you already have everything you need. And you can start participating in this fucking printing machine. So you could be that, but you choose not to. And so when I look at, like, a lot of people talking about, oh yeah, the market this, the synergies that, the tech this, tech that. They're like, well, the tech market's lost something. It loses something. Mind you, understand losses are planned as well. If a company starts cutting God knows how many workers, it's just made itself that much thinner. It's still producing product and that much thinner. It now is going that much further up. The losses are part of a plan. When you lose, you can actually buy it in cheaper. In fact, let me tell you something kind of beautifully diabolic about what a lot of these people do. They plan to have a collapse, so you'll freak out and panic sell. And when you panic sell, just like with crypto, guess who comes in again and buys it? Whether it's crypto or investors, the whales come back in there. And they buy up all the stuff you're selling cheap. And then they run the pump and dump scam again. Now, like I told you, minimalism, savings, and then you can actually invest in the system. If it's a money printing machine, and let's be honest, most people don't care where the money really comes from or if it's legitimate, just as long as it spends the same. Everybody turns into a woman when it comes to reality. And for a lot of people that don't understand what I mean, most women don't know the difference between real money, actual earned money, and real investments versus fucking bought shit on credit. Now, I'm going to argue that most men, women, and everybody else is exactly the same. Like, everybody's like a rich kid. They don't care where the money comes from, just as long as daddy money keeps on giving it to them. Daddy Warbucks. If we're slowly working our way towards a collapse, and the collapse even will be a reset, will bring back prosperity, why not you? So enjoy the human centipede. And apparently our local bird is back. So anyhow, this is Freedom Phil. Like, subscribe, take it easy.